pig script to do this. Okay, so now again pig is also a very added advantage. So last time when we went to the talent conference here, they said that it's going to be year of pig, because pig gives a good flexibility to your programming, right? Because it gives a step-by-step approach. Hive can have some limitations sometimes. You cannot. It may become very complex when you have too many joins and too many filters. It becomes unmanageable to write a Hive query. But it's not the case with the pig, because you can write a step-by-step execution, right? And it's very flexible, and you can expand your program to any level. And at the same time, it reduces the complexity, just like Hive. So pig is very good, and Talon wants to use the parallelism of pig. So pig is very powerful and goes hand in hand with the Talon ETL. Because creating a pig script is almost same like creating an ETL job. You go one step at a time, right? You create a pipeline of tasks one after another. So that's why Talon is also interested to invest more on pig. So that even if you have you can always open source version, you can parallelize your job. Even though you don't buy an enterprise version, you can parallelize your job if your script is written in pig. So that's a bigger advantage. So as we spoke about the business use case, right? We want to summarize the customer based on his location and activeness. So it's the same, like you configure it using Apache, and then pig storage is the default storage for pig. You can have some service also if you want. And again, you need to give the name node and also the job tracker. Now pig also submits job MapReduce. But in order to create the plan, it needs the name node information also, the name node information plus the job tracker. So it creates the plan based on name node and then submits the job to the job tracker. And we are giving the input file. Since all of our tables are external tables, we can directly access those tables using an input file. This is a bigger advantage of using external tables. You can use those tables in pig and also in Hive. And if you delete in Hive, it will not actually delete the file, the HDFS file. So if you are sharing files between pig, streaming, and Hive, then it's advisable to create the table as an external table. So we access this external table through pig and load it into and we are loading. And then again, pig also has the same tmap function, which is very powerful. We can do all the same thing, whatever we try to do in Hive. But here I'm just using as a transformer, but I don't have any transformation or logic or join here, but you can do the same things what we did in Hive. But our intention is to create an aggregate. See how flexible it is. So you don't need to know pig to do this task actually. We just included a team map. It's just like a common ETL, right? So any aggregate will work like this. We need to include the group by columns. It will list down all the group by columns available based on the schema you have. Now what I'm doing is I'm aggregating by store ID and active and the customer count. This version is Santosh has the version is 5.4. This is the latest version. This is the latest stable version. So store ID and active customers, and then I'm creating a new column here with the count aggregate. So see columns I just grouped by, and then operations I want to count on the store ID. Count of which column, that's all. We can have count distinct also. Oh, we don't have, okay. But if you want to do that, then we need to do one more step earlier to find the distinct and then do the distinct here. Okay. But it is very flexible and very understandable. You don't need to understand. The idea is you don't need to understand how pig works. And if you go to the pig here, pig tools available, you can see a lot of nice tools. You can write a pig, if you already have a pig code, you can call it using the pig code here. and the joints, different joints. You want to do a cross join, pig distinct. You can remove the dedupe the 5 rows. The filter columns, if you want to reduce from 10 columns to 2 columns or 3 columns, we just want to select only certain columns, you can use filter columns. Filter rows, if you want to just select only the active rows, then filter row. Join, load, pig map we just saw. Replicate is a very powerful, which actually parallelizes your task. Like for example, you want to do different functions on the same file. You can replicate and send it to the same different branches, and you can merge it later. It's almost like an parallelizer in parallelization in any ETL tool, and sort and result. So it is very descriptive. That if you are building an ETL tool, if you are used to the used to an ETL tool, Pig would be very useful, very helpful, very easy to learn also, because most of the functions you want to do, you can accomplish through Pig. Okay. Now, if I run it, then again this also goes in. It calculates the plan and then submits a job tracker. So we can go to the job tracker. In this case, Hive Pig, we don't need any thrift to be started because it directly communicates to the name node and the job tracker. So you just make sure that those ports are accessible from the location where you're running the script. Yes. So Santosh has where the transformation runs. So where it runs is it's totally on Hadoop. So that's where the parallelization comes. I have, say for example, my laptop is a single node which doesn't have any processing power at all. But I can have an easy to installation which has many nodes, right? If I configure my ETL tool with all these configurations for that node, for that cluster, I can submit the job, and this job runs as a MapReduce with the parallel all the features of Hadoop, and then brings me back the result. So that's the cool thing with that, with this. So even Talon's idea to move this tool to a parallel to the feature of where all the ETL tools has parallel execution, right? For example, Ab Initio has a very powerful Talon. DataStage has a very powerful parallel extender. Right. So, but we don't. These guys, Talent is doing a different parallel processing. It is not. It's not a role. It's not a data level parallelization like other ETL tools doing. So they want to use Pig to do this, so that even a small program, even a small open source tool like this can extend itself to a parallel processing. Okay, but the tool is very powerful, which has all the features. Only when you are using open source, you are stuck with this parallelization. So Pig helps you a lot in this step. So again, the result here in this job, the result again loaded into a folder, demo customer count. This is in HDFS. It's not a table, but you can always create an external table to this directory so that it is exposed to an Hive table also. So I'm just checking the, okay. So it ran the MapReduce and it is successful, and you have the demo logs, which we don't need. We are concerned only about this part. So let's see that. It doesn't have anything. So let's debug this. It has records, but it didn't load anything. Any questions, guys, while we're debugging this? Yeah, Santosh asked whether it is free for development. Yeah, it's free for development, and also you can use it for production also. It's open source. We can, if in production also we can use for use Talon. And yeah, it's still a powerful tool which you can build. It's a very powerful tool which where you can build very complex projects. You may be stuck when you move beyond a certain team count, or say for example you have for 3-member team, you are very cool, but if you are moving beyond 5 or 6-member, then we need to go to an enterprise version where they have all the features of SVN integration and this stuff. But for to accomplish something in the Hadoop layer itself, and you want to orchestrate a distinct series of jobs, then Talon and open source itself can do a lot of stuff. It's very powerful. And if you have a cluster, a Hadoop cluster, a powerful cluster, then this will be an add-on, a quick add-on. You can create very complex things very easily, quickly actually. Yeah, that's all I have. Any other? If you have any questions, then we can have some questionnaire. So we know that like how Talon can be used in production, right? Or we can only Hive or even. Okay, I'll answer like how we are using some production use cases, right? So in use cases I know, right? How we are using Hadoop, Talon and Hadoop is we have both transactional information and the log coming into the system. So what we do is we bring the database information into Hive using Scoop, and then log into the using log files into the Hive using pig scripts. So it reads and parses all these log files into our system, and then later we use this ELT Hive and the ELT pig to do some processing, and we have many reports sent out from the Hive layer itself. Some information we summarize and move back and create a dimension model in MySQL. So it moves back again into the MySQL layer sometimes. Talon can be used anything. Like Talon has numerous tools. We are just concentrating as a very small subset of what Talon can do. So it has numerous features. It's free to install, so you can explore a lot of things. It almost has all the features of all the ETL tools available in market. And Santosh has like loading data file from a file to this table in this example. So we are loading from the actual flow here is we loading data from MySQL to HDFS, and from HDFS we are doing some transformation and aggregation and loading it back to the HDFS. But we can also bring this information. You can email. You have tools to email it, or you have tools to load this data back into some MySQL table again. Again, you have two options to do that. You can use Scoop export, or you can just do a normal database insert update, just like any other ETL tool. Okay. Batch job is what we are working on. So it's I'm not sure about the continuous integration stuff. Srini asked whether how Talon work with the batch job and live data. We have some web service API calls here, and but I'm not sure about the continuous integration like we do in Ab Initio or some other tools like. But batch job we can create there is a set of orchestration tools here where you have the run job, sleep, post job, so you can have checks whether you can sequence the jobs one after another, and have checks in between or failures in between. So there is a subset of orchestration modules here. You can do some of the stuff here for orchestration. But for live data, I think I'm not sure about the continuous integration, how we can continue. But there are some tools, I think. Yes, we can do it another question is, can you use relational table as a pure insert? Yes, we can do pure insert from HDFS file. Yes, we can also do that. Yeah, we can do an insert update. You can do just like another, you have a HDFS read. Yeah, we can do that. So we can do an MySQL scoop export is an efficient way, but it has some limitations. But if you want to do an insert update, then it's very simple. Like just like we can use two tools, especially MySQL output. Say in case of MySQL, in case I'm using a MySQL, I can use this. Okay, connection to DB is native and also JDBC. You have native, right? The components, you have native components. In this case, say even it has MySQL ELT also. So you have native and also JDBC. You can use both, but always native is powerful, right? So let me see here, databases, MySQL. So what I will do in that use case is I will create a MySQL connection, and then MySQL output, I use MySQL output. We can drag and drop a MySQL output, and then I will have a MySQL connection, and then a Hive connection, and then drag and drop these two. Yes, guys. I think that's all right. So to add on, like in order to practice, if you already have a Hadoop cluster, you just download this Talend execution, and it doesn't need any install. Just like you just unzip it, that's it. It's in your machine, and yeah, make sure you have this thrift server start correctly, and then name node job tracker, and you are good to go. So if you know these three information of your cluster, right, job tracker, name node, and then the Hadoop thrift, how to start and stop Hadoop thrift, then you are good to go on this. Yeah, because that's the place where we will stuck most of the time. Okay. Yeah, I think Diwakar, we are done. If you have any question, you can have. Santosh says, can you install Talend in Hadoop itself? Yeah, you can install in one of the nodes. You don't need the installation. Actually, you can develop how it works. Right, it's a code generator, right? So you develop your job in your local machine, Windows or Mac. You develop your code, and based on you create tunnels to your in production environment. I'm explaining in the production. You create a node code in your local machine, and you can export using this. There is an export method in the job where you can, on the project level, you can build a job where you can export as a totally independent job. It doesn't require any installation in your target machine where you are going to deploy this code. So you can export as a complete standalone job and export only the jar into that, and this code generator will also give you the shell script or batch script to execute it. You can also input parameters and property files. All these are available. Yeah. But the only difference between other tools and this open source version is you can export the whole job, and without you don't need installation actually in the target node. You just export this jar package and put it there and just run it. That's it. You just need the Java there. And if that node has connectivity to the Hadoop cluster, to the job tracker, name tracker, and the Hive, then yeah, that's it. That node, then that code can handle everything. Yeah, this is very cool. Like that comparatively to Pentaho, Pentaho is also similar to this, where you can develop jobs as separate XMLs, but you need an installation for Pentaho. You need a installation, and if you are upgrading, then you need to upgrade the production, upgrade the installation in production in Pentaho. But here, everything comes within the installation package itself. So that's how it works in the open source version. But in the enterprise version, we can have the same thing like that, where you can continuously integrate code to the production. A comparison to Pentaho, we used both Pentaho and Talend for this Hadoop use case. Both are very powerful tools, and they both are very has unique unique functionalities on the ease of use. But Talend has this code generation facility, which makes us totally independent of do any upgrades or anything to the actual production box. So we can just create a code and import it. That's it. It will work. But let me show you how we can export during this time. So we can export a job using, so say for example you have many jobs and you want to export only few of it, you can pick and choose whichever you want. And if you select the shell launcher, it will give you a shell script after this export. This zip file will have an export. And if you choose an autonomous job, then it will create a totally independent job which will run.